and welcome to Hindu Lounge. This is Hindu Lounge. Hindu Lounge is brought to you by Hindu Pact. Hindu Pact is the Hindu Policy Research and Advocacy Collective. Hindu Pact is an initiative of World Hindu Council of America or VHPA. Hindu Lounge comes live every week and we talk about contemporary American Hindu
Contemporary American
issues.
Hindu issues.
And we have Sudha Jagannathan again here with us. Sudha, so glad once again that you are on the show. You add tremendous value. You are a great host, and you bring so much intellectual power to this show. So thank you very much for joining. I think this is. I think we are on to something here. We have a great show going on, and we bring new issues every week. So good morning to you. And I know it's early in the morning for you where you are. So thank you so much for taking time, accommodating my request to do this early in the morning today. Thank you for joining. And Sudha, before I turning over to you, um, any comments? Otherwise, I'll introduce the topic for the day, which is Hindu Mandir vandalism in US. But before that, welcome to you and some initial thoughts and remarks.
Hey, namaste and namaskaram to everybody. And thank you, Ajay. This is actually a very good learning exercise, I have to say, for myself too, right? As we delve into the issues that the Indian American, Hindu American community faces. So take it away, lead with the topic of the day.
Topic of the day. So, topic of the day, Sudha, we're going to talk about the vandalism that is going on in the mandirs in America. I, you know, I, I want, I'm, it is not something that is brand new. Actually, this has been going on for some time. But let me show you some visuals and get your reactions to this. Right. So, here are some of the visuals that
That you you know
see if you have any
see
comments also. These are the mandirs that were, and this is just a small representative sample of mandirs, right? There are a lot more, but this is just a sample. And you can see that there was a mandir that got vandalized in Bay Area, in Newark, on December 22nd. Then on January 4th, there was one in Hayward that got vandalized. And then there was one in Santa Clara that was, I think it was like 26th or 27th of December, right? And so those were the three, and then you keep going, and you say, okay, those are three. There was one, just before that, previous year in Queens. If you go, a little bit more, there was a burglary at the mandir. And this one was the Radha Krishna Om Hari Om Radha Krishna Mandir in Sacramento, California. And here are the kinds of signs that were posted outside in the BAPS Mandir in Bay Area. Um, and there's burglary of Hindu mandirs in Texas. There was one mandir that was vandalized there. There were like dozens of these, over a dozen of these, right? So, Sudha, this is new. This has been going on for a while, right? This is not new. Uh, and before we go to the who has condemned it and what do you think about all this vandalism? Why is what are the do you have you seen this increase in vandalism? Of mandirs. I mean, have you seen that? What are your thoughts?
Well, I know I've lived here for 40 plus years. And I have to say, initially, even at that time, there were temples, right? Because Hindus came to the the continent, I would say, 150 years ago as indentured labor. But they also built temples in the Caribbean. And so, everywhere where you have temples and everywhere where we have lived, there is some hostility, right? I mean, we know the history. It's not very nice to know what happened to our people. So these days, I think we're becoming more visible, right? More visible as people, especially with people running, Hindus running a lot of the global brands. It brings a lot of attention to us. And when people see temples in their neighborhoods, um, not everybody, okay, a lot of people love the fact that the diversity is increasing, and they also love to come to the temples to visit like a field trip. But these attacks uh, across the country, and I would say in Canada too, it's not like we are the only country facing this. It is everywhere that the Hindu diaspora lives. This is happening, and people are. I mean, the law enforcement and leaders are starting to take notice, right? U.S., Canada, UK, Australia, Italy. Hmm?
Yeah.
So, I mean, when these things are happening, it is not just an random act, right? They could be random acts too. I mean, I don't know if the burglaries are just ordinary burglaries. I mean, this is where law enforcement really needs to get in and understand what it is. But let me also point out there is a political geopolitics plays into it, right? And there are new threats in the world, which I have to say, United States is particular, or the cities or states of United in this country are not very familiar with, right? Who are the new threats? They do not understand Hindu temples, right? Because when things happen, Hindu temples will not go make a report. So this when things were happening in New Jersey, I would say people on the West Coast felt maybe it's some of those random thing that will go away. But now in the Bay Area, we have had what 6 temples over a span of 3 months that have been vandalized, graffiti on it, etc. Look at this, Canada. I mean, all over the place. So temples have become a big target because I think the ones who are attacking us, yeah, says Hindustan Murdabad, and then they also, I would say, they put on Khalistan Zindabad. And I recently saw some videos that were really scary, where people are calling the priests in the temple, demanding that they talk about Khalistan or sing Khalistan Zindabad before a ceremony or a ritual happens. This is intimidation and really violation of our rights to freedom in this country or any Western country. And
Yeah.
so it's really scary that this is happening.
Yeah, Canada has been seeing this. If you talk about North America, so US and Canada, in Canada especially, this is a huge problem, right? I mean, I was showing some visuals and slides, and you mentioned some videos, and these are all attacks that seem to be linked to the Khalistani movement. Like a lot of these are linked to, Khalistan, at least, and some of the people who got caught. Both in US and in Canada were proponents of Khalistan. Uh, so the what is, I mean, if you look at the common roots, the common philosophical roots, dharmic roots of both the Hindu dharma as well as the Sikh dharma, and you say, uh, I mean, if you look at the Guru Granth Sahib and what is written in Guru Granth Sahib, how can uh, a true Sikh believer be engaged in an act like this? How, I think, all the way from Guru Nanak to Guru Gobind Singh Ji would never endorse this, right?
Mhm. But let's make it very clear. It's not the larger Sikh community that's engaging in it. It is a segment from that community that has taken this as a political agenda. So even the temple attack is really not attacking the Hindu diaspora. It is to intimidate the Hindus, but to send a message to India that they have demands and that those demands better be met. Otherwise, the diaspora is going to be affected. Unfortunately, the funny thing is that we are all American citizens. I mean, mostly. We also have Indian citizens working here. But to use these acts as intimidation of American citizens, Canadian citizens, and in Canada, the Hindus were even demanded to leave the country by the Khalistani leader, that Pannoon guy of Seek for Justice, right? So
Yeah.
uh, definitely, I feel law enforcement needs to pay attention because they are probably familiar with mafia. They are familiar with all sorts of other kinds of, groups, gangs. But I'll tell you, they don't know about Khalistanis. So, as a community, even if first of all, our temples mostly want to stay in their swim channels, they don't want to go out and make a big deal because our temples are different from churches and mosques, right? Our temples are not these institutions where everybody has membership. We don't have membership in temples, right? like in a church or a mosque. And if a police goes in there, they have to really know the nuances of how the culture works. And not only that, who is in charge? The priest is not in charge. Priest is just there to do a ritual or a prayer and be a mediator between you and the deity. But the trustees are the ones who need education, and the
Right.
trustees are the ones who should be told, you have to make a police report, you cannot hide. Because when you do that, you're doing a you're inviting harm to the people, devotees who come to your temple. So you decide, you want to have devotees attend, or you want to discourage them from coming, because you are not doing the right thing by protecting the temple and its devotee base. So I think a lot of education is needed. With law enforcement, we have to educate them on who Hindus are, who Sikhs are, and how our worship is different. Last week we talked about the ways we worship. It's all very foreign to, I would say, law enforcement. So we have to go talk to them about this is what it is. But when something happens, I want to say, at least in the Bay Area, I'm seeing the community reach out to the city council, their assembly and senate in the California state legislature, but they can't do much except tweet like we oppose this, because ultimately it's in the hands of a law enforcement, and the temple uh, must make a report, right?
So I'll come to that point because there was a temple that got vandalized and burglarized, and the
And
police was
the
actually
police
in
was
the area,
actually in the area,
and the police
and the
refused
police
to take the
refused
report.
to take the report.
So we have because we were in communication with the Mandir. It took them 2 days. The second day they took the report, but they resisted writing down the report. So before I come to that, I want to you made some point about the certain elements of the Khalistani elements of the Sikh community being involved, and now it was really heartening to see this
To see this
statement come out of the
statement from
uh, American Gurudwara Prabandhak Committee, which is the AGPC, which is the Shiromani, the counterpart to what is in India, Shiromani Gurudwara Prabandhak Committee, or a part of it. But this is American based, and they actually went out and condemned the vandalism at the Swaminarayan Mandir in Bay Area. So that was, it was good that we got that the mainstream followers of Sikh Dharma, Sikh Panth, do not, condone these kinds of acts of vandalism that happen. The
Mhm.
other thing that I would like to point out is that you mentioned geopolitical issues, right? So that is a really important point to note because I'll go through this one particular slide that you had pointed out, and that is the slide which says Pakistan. This is the something that was published in a report by the Hudson Institute in 2021, and it says Pakistan's destabilization playbooks, Khalistan separatist activism within the US. So it is important to note that this is a lot of these attacks are not attacks that are carried out by individuals acting individually, but a lot of these attacks are carried out because people who are carrying out these attacks are instigated, and we don't even know if they're paid for, but at least instigated by Pakistani ISI, as per the report by the Hudson Institute. So these are not innocuous attack of a solo operator who comes and graffiti paints something. There is certainly a movement to intimidate the Hindus. As you correctly mentioned, because you just mentioned about intimidation, there's certainly an attempt to intimidate the Hindus and to make sure that the Hindus who are successful in America live in fear. And
Mhm.
this is a driver for a lot of people who hate Hindus, who hate India, who want to make sure that India breaks into pieces, the Tukre Tukre gang. And these are the people who instigate and support and propagate these kinds of vandalism, acts of vandalism in the mandir. And you were absolutely right about the geopolitical implication. Do you want to add something to the geopolitical aspects of this?
Mhm. Yeah, a lot more work has been done on this particular Khalistani vandalism and destructive forces within the United States. For example, the Rutgers Institute, the Network Contagion Research Institute, did some excellent research, and what they found out is that just before these kinds of acts of violence happens in the places of worship, or even the Indian consulates and embassies, there is a lot of chatter in the cyberspace, right? Um, Especially Twitter, 4chan, etc. And apparently, Twitter is trying to shut down these accounts as fast as they can, but new ones keep popping up. So they also found that it's not just Khalistani accounts; it's also Pakistani accounts. So definitely a collaboration between the two, because a common interest of enemy number one is India, right?
Yeah.
So that is very much evident. They're using technology to kind of you know get the get the community roiled, and then the community then acts on the ground. The one picture you showed of the video, there's a the tweet that of Swaminarayan surrounded by these Khalistani LCD sided trucks. The funny thing is that one of those temples attacked is a Fiji Hindu temple. Those many Fijians don't even go to India. They're just Hindu. But these Khalistanis look at temple and say it's all Indian, right? So this is very dangerous. They are attacking people not just of Indian origin, but from other parts of the world. They really need to be taken into custody, prosecuted, and the whole thing shut down. And UK announced that they were freezing the accounts of Khalistanis. America should take this seriously. I kind of feel very sad that a country like ours that takes security, national security, so seriously, is allowing this to slide. Nothing was done on the Khalistani videos published by Khalistanis, them setting fire to the Indian consulate in San Francisco. And these temple attacks, I'm so glad there is now some congressional action on it, because see, once you start to nurture a snake, that snake will turn around and bite you. It's going to
Well,
be a problem for
that
US.
is that is what Hillary
That's what
Clinton said
Hillary
to
Clinton.
Pakistani Prime Minister, that if you raise snakes in your backyard, at some point you're going to be bitten by those snakes. It's just not going to go there and attack your neighbors, right? And
Mhm.
Pakistan is seeing the impact of it. To your point, actually, about the geopolitical aspect of it, here is what the External Affairs Minister now, U.S. Oh, sorry. Let me go back to the slide number 10, because this makes the case of what you just said, right? And you just mentioned this. And because there is the huge geopolitical aspect, and US, it's very interesting that even a leaf blows in India, US is out to comment about India, and we are all US citizens and we owe our allegiance to US and things like that. But Bharat is our dharma bhumi, and we want to make sure that there's a right balance between and good relationship between these two countries. But if the leaf blows, USCIRF is out there making comments for anything and everything, even though it is an internal matter of India. But here, the Indian consulate is firebombed. There are temples that are vandalized and burglarized. There's systematic attempt to intimidate the Hindus, and there's not a word. And so the foreign minister of India, in American terms, for people who are not familiar with Indian phrase, the cabinet member names, it would be equivalent to the Secretary of State in America, said that, hey, extremism should not be given any space. A Hindu temple was, the Khalistani graffitis and all that happened. This is in December 2023. And he said, look, this is happening because extremism is given space in America, and extremism should not be given space in America, right? So this is we wish that it doesn't come to this kind of diplomatic exchanges, but there's really this America is giving space for American political reason, and Canada is blatantly giving space to these extremist violent elements, without without any repercussions on them. and
mhm,
at the cost of the innocent Hindus, right?
mhm. So the two nations of Canada and the United States, right? Democracies and wanting to promote democracies everywhere, and they themselves nurture some of these kinds of anti-nationals, right? And I think maybe the U.S. Khalistanis have gotten courage from how Canada is ignoring the issue because they feel like they can get away with it because for political reasons, the US and Canada will play it soft on India, with India, right?
Yeah,
They won't take action. So all of this just leads to the fact that US is now uh, nurturing these people, right?
yeah,
And why is this Panoon guy going around even after he says he demands that the Hindus in Canada get out. And then when the New Zealand deputy prime minister showed up in India and he poked at the Canada's inaction on Khalistanis, Pannoon threatened that New Zealand deputy prime minister. How confident must he be that he can get away with it because he knows that the US is not going to touch him? Is that what it is? Right?
that
That is
certainly leads to that
dangerous.
speculation, right? That is certainly a speculation that he's being protected, and that's
Above
why
law.
he's not he's getting away with what he's getting away.
Yeah. And in locally, California, if you look at the Sikh Khalistani movement, California is very prominent. A lot of gurudwaras, a big community of Sikhs, and strong Khalistani. And the other about Khalistanis we should, law enforcement should look into is a lot of them are illegals,
Yeah,
and many are, I would say, illiterate, right? They have no education. So but they do not distinguish between Sikhs and Hindus. On those memes they had calling for violence on Indian diplomats, there was the previous ambassador from India, Taranjit Sandhu,
yeah.
right? So who's a Sikh? So they target any and everybody.
I think that's what so it is not really between the Sikhs and Hindus. It is not between the two faiths that share so much in common with the dharmic philosophy, but it is to do with people who have been somehow radicalized for political reason. Um, I want to show you this slide, which I did not put in the the other slide deck, but I had this from the presentation done about a month ago, and I think I'll get your comment on this. So what is the impact of these attacks, right? And so I characterize these impact into four. One is it is the attack on the First Amendment right of Hindus to basically shut Hindus up from doing anything, saying anything, and impede on their First Amendment. It's emotionally really disturbing to the executives and the temple going community at a large. Just imagine a temple down the road from your home gets vandalized. How would you feel about it? Temple priests, who, as you correctly said just a couple of minutes ago, that they are just they are not the owners of the mandir or any of that, but they are really the ones who are uh, facilitating the worship, if you will. And just imagine the kind of anguish and trauma. They live usually on the temple campus, on the temple
Mhm,
premises. And just imagine with them and their family living on that campus, if it gets vandalized, what is going to be the impact on them, their kids, and um, and their parents who usually live with them in many cases? What would be the impact on them?
mhm,
And the worst case is that most of these cases, perpetrators are not found. And as I said, in one case, police actually resisted, taking the report down, and that makes people feel even more insecure because now they don't even have a recourse. They don't even have a way to go and complain to someone, to authorities, and say, provide us with some protection.
mhm,
This is the impact, if you will, on the Hindu community overall. If I go back to the let me stop this, and let me go back to what we were talking about. Um, so this is something I don't know if you saw this, Sudha. Uh,
mhm.
FBI started tracking these crimes, as hate crimes, the crimes against Hindus and Sikhs, they and Buddhists. They started tracking them only in 2015. So it's only about 9 years since Hindus, the crime against the dharmic faiths has been tracked. And as you can see, Emi Bera is here, and the you know the he is one of the people who introduced, who prodded really the FBI at the time, and said that, hey, there is significant amount of crimes, hate crimes against Hindus and Sikhs that need to be tracked. And so in 2015 they started tracking these crimes, right?
Mhm.
And this is what before I go to this slide, let's just go there. So can you comment on why we are talking
Mhm.
about this topic today? Because there is a
Mhm.
specific reason why we said let's bring up this topic this week, right? What was that reason?
Because this is now gotten the attention of our members of Congress. The five Indian American members of Congress have written a letter, joint letter, to the Department of Justice and their civil rights group uh, to pay attention. There's this extremely serious violation of religious freedom of the Hindu community going on for many years, and nothing has been done. Not even an acknowledgement, even when these are reported, right? So I'm glad because the demand in the letter is for the DOJ Civil Rights Department to come back and provide an update on what is the status, what is being done to catch the perpetrators and punish them by the 18th, right, of this month. So DOJ, I'm sure, is scrambling to collect the information from the local law enforcement and find out the details of it. So it's extremely important that our elected officials stand with us. And we have been ignored. And I know this is election year and they're all scrambling for votes.
Everyone
So
needs
this is just an
everyone needs some campaign cash, right?
right. So they when how can they come and show their faces to the community, and the community says, "Hey, what are you doing about these things?" And what are they going to say? So now they can say, "Yes, I am taking action." So I think it's very, very important that they do that. And then we as a community should also be engaged with law enforcement and our cities and, the counties that we live in and our state officials, and then say, demand that they take action. See, those pictures have the faces of those Khalistanis who were threatening. How can they not catch them? I'm losing confidence in American law enforcement's ability to catch when even the pictures are very bold of these Khalistanis going, and the videos are there, and no, nobody has been caught. How is that possible?
Yeah.
It is just because they feel like it's not important, it's not top of mind, and who knows? The Khalistanis have a lot of money. Khalistanis and Pakistanis together, who knows? They are
Yeah,
investing in
and then
keeping this.
just plain burglary, right? I mean, there's just so much burglary, and I don't know if you've seen this. Even the Bay Area Jain Mandir got burglarized. The other mandirs in the Bay Area, and there was a spate of burglaries actually in New York, New Jersey, uh, and New York, New Jersey area, and Northeast overall last year, where several of the mandirs were just burglarized. And this is also, so I can show you one quick visual. This is a security camera video of how the burglars came in and made away with all the donations and everything else. So the burglary is also a real
Mhm.
issue that mandirs are facing. Coming back to this FBI, right? So FBI started tracking these crimes, and Sudha, let me show you some numbers and see what you think about it. So when FBI started tracking, and the latest numbers that we have available are from 2022. Okay, so let me make this screen a little bigger so it's easier to see. Um, so if you look at these numbers, right, these are the numbers for hate crimes against Hindus. As you can see, 16 cases of intimidation, 11 of destruction, damage, vandalism to property. This is all 2022. 9 simple assaults, and so on and so forth, right? Um,
Mhm.
and the residents and homes and all that. Okay. Now let me
Now,
show you the
let me show you
equivalent numbers for Islam. Okay, remember this number. It's 16, 11, 9. So intimidation is 16, destruction is 11, simple assault is 9, aggravated assault is 6, larceny is 1, and so forth.
Mm.
And the church, synagogue, temple, mosque number is for Hindu temples is only 4.
four.
Mm. Mm.
For
For
equivalent numbers,
equal numbers,
it is
it is
38
third.
for the mosques. And you can see the intimidation and simple assault. These numbers are at least an order of magnitude or 2 orders of magnitude greater for Islam, right? Um, they've reported things like credit card and automated ATM machine fraud, shoplifting, drug narcotics violation, all kinds of things. Now, if you look at the same numbers for Sikhs, here are the numbers for Sikhs. Uh, 61
61
damage to
damage.
vandalism to properties, and if you look at just the damage to uh, you know damage, larceny, assault. But remember, look at the crimes that they get report on: burglary, motor vehicle theft, shoplifting, theft from motor vehicle, false pretense, swindle, intimidation, drug enforcement, credit card fraud. All kinds of crimes are reported. Hindus don't report crimes.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
is there any reason to believe that these crimes don't happen? Cars don't get burglarized for Hindus, or the credit card fraud and identity
Then
fraud don't
identity
happen for
fraud
Hindus? It's
I
just that
think
they
they
never
just,
get
yeah,
reported.
yeah, I think Hindus just ignore it because they feel like, oh, it's one time, it's done. I'm, no, nothing's going to happen. I feel there is a sense of complacency, right? Sense of sort of like sitting back and saying, first of all, that I'm never going to be a target, which is not true. You are a big target now, you know. So it's we have to educate our community to report every incident. We have to report. We have to educate our temples to report every incident. Without which, I think we'll always be our incidents will be undercounted, and that becomes very dangerous because everything works on data. If institutions don't have data, we have no voice. You know, audio. I can't hear. Um, can you hear me? Suddenly went off. Okay.
No, I cannot hear you. Oh, okay. I'll log off and come back in. Sorry.